Okay, I think we are live. I'm hoping we're live. If we're not live, then we've got a problem. But yes, we are live. We are back. Nobody Puts Podcast in a Corner is back because for some reason people wanted to listen to it more. So yes, thank you all. Happy New Year to you all. Thank you for joining us, whether you're joining us listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple, or whether you're joining us live, because we do that now. We will be streaming every episode live moving forward, because, as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, we've had quite a few people say, you've got such strong opinions about films that I hate you for, and it winds me up, and I want to be able to express that. And I've gone, well, how can we do that? So here it is. This platform now is streaming on my personal Facebook, on the Nobody Puts Podcast in a Corner YouTube, and also on Twitch. So if you want to watch us live, they are going to be the three avenues that you can watch us live on. But as I say, you will always be able to still listen to the podcast as normal afterwards. Around 9 o'clock, it will go live. So moving on, welcome to my first time guest, new season, new guest, Danny. Hello, Danny.
Hello, Russ. You all right?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for joining. Obviously, you know, you and me go way back, and we've had many a conversation about films on the way to work back in the day.
Quite a few heated discussions, as I remember, as well.
Yes, there were quite a few discussions. Yes, heated and all sorts. It was, but you know, you've got an opinion about films, and that's always appreciated. So you know, I'm looking forward to our conversation this evening. Now, tonight's topic is cult classics, as picked by you, Danny. A cult classic, obviously, it is what it says on the tin. It is a classic film that has garnished a cult following over the years. So, yes, throughout the episode, whether you are joining us on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, feel free to say hello, throw a comment in, give an opinion, ask a question. Already, we've got a few people saying hello. So, hello, Meeple Bops. Hello, Flying Fish. And hello, Life with James. I hope you enjoy that red wine. I'm currently drinking a Budweiser. And also, hello, Corey. So, thank you all for joining. We hope you enjoy the podcast. If you do ask a question, if you do make a comment, I will do my best to get through all of them by the end of the podcast. But yeah, so, cult classics. Danny, talk to me about what is a cult classic to you? Name a few that you like, that you love, that instantly pop out at you when you think of a cult classic.
Well, like you said, I think cult classics are just films that have just gained a huge following. Obviously, there's obvious ones. Most Tarantino films are cult classics. Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Confession, which you know about. I've not seen all of Tarantino's stuff, but I've seen a few of them.
Yeah.
I do have some catching up to do. Obviously, you've got cult franchises as well. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, you know, huge following.
Yeah.
You know, they're just the sort of films that everybody's at least heard of them. I think, you know, no matter who you are, no matter what your age, you've at least heard of a cult classic.
Absolutely. No, I fully agree with you there. And and I think, you know, when obviously you and me had an initial discussion about doing this and going through cult classics, I thought, right, let's find a list. So I have gone to my trusty friend, the Internet Movie Database, which is my source of all things films, and found a list of 400 of the greatest cult movies of all time. Now, obviously, we're not going to go through all 400 because we'll be here until next week. However, what we will do is, go through a few that I think certainly most of our listeners and viewers will probably at least know if they've not seen. Have a little bit of a discussion about those and see where we go from there. So okay, let's crack on. So I'm going to start off with I was going to save this one till the end, but
Okay.
it's number one on the list. And I know that there are hopefully a lot of people listening, watching that love this film as much as I do. And it is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is number one on the list for being one of the greatest cult movies of all time. And I would say I have to probably agree with that. I think it is one of the most unique, bizarre, but fun films I've ever watched. And I absolutely adore Tim Curry. And even if you haven't seen Tim Curry in Rocky Horror Picture Show, you've probably seen him in oh god, mind goes blank. Muppets Treasure Island. He was in Three Musketeers. Basically, did a lot of things with Disney. Obviously, Home Alone 2. He played the concierge in the hotel. You know, he's
the original It.
Oh, of course, he was Pennywise, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He was the original Pennywise. You can't forget that.
No, absolutely. But yeah, you know, it's okay. Corey's just said he's also in Legend with Tom Cruise. I've not seen that. But yeah, it's one of those things where I just think it's so iconic. And even if you don't know the film, you know the songs. And I say that as I hand over to you.
Yeah, that was a confession from last night, wasn't it? I've never actually seen the film, but I'm well aware of the cultural impact the film has had on everybody. You know, I've certainly heard the soundtracks. I've seen snippets of Tim Curry from the film. You know, just from the snippets that I've seen, it looks like it is a very enjoyable film.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, forgive me for my sins. I've sat and watched Glee with Sarah. Obviously, you know Sarah, my wife, and they did a tribute to Rocky Horror Picture, which was actually quite enjoyable, to be fair.
Yeah,
I did actually quite enjoy it. So, you know, I've certainly heard the music. It's a typical musical type film from its era. But no, like you said, it just seems like it's a very fun film, and you know, as I say, the music and the cultural impact has been phenomenal.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it really is. And I think, you know, whether you've seen it or not, you know it, you know of it. And you're right, it has had such an impact. And it was the making of Tim Curry, you know, it really was. So just on that, Flying Fish, yes to Rocky Horror, even though when I first saw it, I was 29 years old. Well, better late than never. Ithil has also added that Shane only watched it a couple of Christmases ago. So, well, better late than never. So, yes, I dressed up as Frankenfurter last Halloween. Was it last Halloween? Okay. Yes, it was. It was last Halloween. I dressed up with a group of us, went as Riff Raff and you know, all the characters from it, and you know, that was certainly an experience. But there you go. Okay, well, either way, watch Rocky Horror, Danny. By the next time we talk,
I will. There is no doubt going to be most films from this list that we talk about that I'm going to add to a to-do list. So Rocky Horror is put on their number one. Don't worry.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Okay, let's move on to another one. So let's talk about this one. Blade Runner. Have you seen Blade Runner?
Not in its entirety, but okay. I have seen a vast majority of it.
Thoughts?
I know obviously that they've done in recent years done the sequel with Ryan Gosling as well, haven't they?
Absolutely.
It was kind of seeing that they'd made a sequel to it that has made me want to go back and watch the original in its entirety. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it. I didn't watch it, confession, until a few years ago. And when I watched it, I thought, okay, this is a bit bizarre, but it's an interesting watch. What stood out to me about it was I thought, God, when it came out, which I think when 82, it must have been so like wow to its audience, because I don't really know I know Star Wars had obviously come out a few years before, but in terms of scale, it must have been up there with one of those films that people people have gone like, this is quite eye-opening almost, like I say, in terms of the visual effect that it had.
I think from the bits I know about it, I think it came out around about the same time as the original RoboCop, which, like you said, in the early 80s, in terms of visual effects, and it was a very futuristic type film as well. So I think it was kind of like the original RoboCop. I would imagine it was, people kind of watched it and went, wow, okay, if that's the future, we're looking forward to it type thing.
not quite there yet, but
didn't predict what it would actually be like, but
bit like Back to the Future 2 predicting how things were going to be in 2015, and here we are in 2021, and we're like, we're far from that. Far from that. Meeple Bops, I've seen this one. Meeple Bops, good for you. I'm glad you've seen Blade Runner. Let us know whether you're a fan of it or not. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try not to go down the list. I'm gonna try and scroll and pick a few, and then we can just fluctuate throughout the whole list. Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. This is one that I'm personally not very sure on. I have seen it. I prefer its sequel, but I am willing to bet that I would get a lot of crap for that if you watched it when it came out. Funnily enough, this also came out the same year as Blade Runner, and that is Tron, the original Tron.
Okay.
I have seen this once, years ago, and it baffled me because I remember looking at, and do you know what? This is quite an interesting thing. Visually, what they tried to achieve with Tron versus, let's say Blade Runner, which came out at the same year, or Star Wars, which came out 5 years before. I thought Tron's visual effects, and I'm showing my age or lack of in terms of, experience here. I thought it was pretty dull. I'd seen films that had come out around a similar time, and I felt like it just was a bit naff. And that's all I can really say. However, its sequel, Tron Legacy, mind-blowing, visually mind-blowing. So have you seen either of them?
So I've only seen the original, and I've got to be honest, it was because of how much I disliked the original that I didn't watch the sequel. So
fair enough.
We could both get a bit of flack for this, but no, I do have to agree. I think like you said, Star Wars that was, a few years previous to it, and Blade Runner that was the same year. And I probably will throw RoboCop in there purely because I know it. The visual effects they were just poor. They really were quite poor.
I just didn't know what they were trying to do
in the same era. You just kind of felt, well, you've just kind of felt like they'd let this side down a little bit because it had the potential to be the front runner of visual effects, and it just really let itself down, I thought.
I have to agree with you. Like I say, Tron Legacy, I actually thought was a pretty good film. Visually, it definitely stepped up the game, but to be based on, I know a lot of people that would disagree with me a lot on that and say, Tron's an amazing film, the sequel Legacy, but that is from a certain generation that would say that. So I think if you grew up with it, it was great. It's the same as people probably, of a newer generation who watch the original Star Wars film and then compare it to the likes of the ones that the Disney have just made and go visually, they're so different. And it's probably a little bit of that going on there, but we can only know what we know at the end of the day, can't we? Exactly. So, okay, Tron, there we go. Let's move on to another one. Have you seen Labyrinth with David Bowie?
Right, now I have seen this purely and only because it is one of Sarah's favorite films, and I'm going to upset her, and I'm going to upset quite a lot of people here. I cannot stand it.
Well, I'm going to join you there. I'm going to join you there. I love David Bowie, and I think he was a fantastic actor. I have to say, he, some of the films that I've watched him in, he really. Do you know what I loved? And I said this to someone quite recently. I think it might have been my mum, but I said the thing is that he never had to try to act. He just did. He just existed, and that was enough. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I think other films that he's done, he was a phenomenal actor. And like you said, he just seemed to naturally fit into the role of an actor as well. Like there was barely. It didn't look like he had much effort put into it, but you knew he had done. But no, just Labyrinth. I just don't know. It just. yeah, it just kind of it warps my mind a bit, but not I don't know. I just really don't like it.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with you there. I think maybe, I mean, I have to admit, the first time I saw it was probably about 10, 15 years ago. So I'd be willing to give it another go to see if it, grew on me. But yeah, I am with you there. I've been neglecting the comments. I apologize. A few people saying that they enjoyed Tron. That's cool. Yes, Corey has answered the question to Live with James that yes, they are both Tron films are on Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus, give it a go. And Ithil has just commented on with reference to Labyrinth. I just enjoyed Dance Magic Dance. So fair enough. Okay, let's try. Okay, here's one. Here's one that we can all talk about. Reservoir Dogs.
Yes, yeah, I can join in on this one. Finally, I can finally join in on this one. You know that I watched this. I think it was last year for the first time, and I messaged you after I'd watched it because you were so. This was one of our heated discussions. You weren't angry. You were like a disappointed parent.
Disappointed, yeah.
I'm not angry, Danny. I'm just very disappointed.
So true. Yeah, I mean, okay, so straight over to you. What were your thoughts on Reservoir Dogs?
Do you know what? I have to say, I did actually really quite enjoy it. Kind of the first film that I'd ever watched where it was just kind of set in one room was the original Saw film. And I really enjoyed that. And the concept of that being in one room, you know, that was all they had budget for. But the fact it was done in one room, and kind of when I started watching Reservoir Dogs, the initial opening scene, it was a bit like, okay, this is going to be action packed. There's going to be loads happening because I had no idea what it entailed, what was involved. Yeah. But then kind of very quickly realized, actually, no, the focal point is this room. This is where everything happens. None of it went the way I expected it to. I did very quickly figure out that I think it was Orange that was the undercover cop.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I very quickly kind of cottoned on that it was him. But I've got to be honest, I really thoroughly enjoyed the film. I really did enjoy the film.
Fantastic. It really is one of the, for me, one of the greatest films I've ever watched. And I think, you know, there's so much that goes behind this. Like, you know, Tarantino, it was one of his, not his first film was a film called Four Rooms, which I didn't know about until recently. So it shows how much of a fan I am. But his first, obviously, proper major film that got some grand attention. And you know, the budget was so low that all the main cast, Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, Steve Buscemi, Michael Madsen, the black suits were their own.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, you always think about films and you think about their grand budgets and their costumes. No, the suits they walked in that opening scene were their own suits because they didn't have a budget to push it any further. And I believe that when Tarantino first kind of, you know, got it together, he had a budget of something around the lines of $30,000, which, when you think about it, is not a lot. It was only when Harvey Keitel came on board that he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll help fund it. I'll give you a little bit more cash. Just let me be in it." And that's how it kind of all evolved, which is fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I think going off what you said, the fact that so much of it happens in that one room, you know, again, I'm seeing comments here that say that the people haven't seen it, so I'll try not to give too much away. But you know, it's clever. People describe it as the greatest heist film where you never see the heist, and it's so true. You don't actually.
You know what? That is the perfect way to describe it. It's It's the before.
It's the before and after.
I can't kind of add anything more to that. That is the perfect description. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's the before and it is the after, but never the during. Well, kind of the during for a few flashbacks, but ultimately the actual heist itself we only hear about, and I think that's genius that the way he managed to pull that off. So yeah, no, honestly, for those, so I'm looking again. Oh, Flying Fish once again, didn't see until they were 29. Fair enough.
Yeah.
If Bill, you need to make sure you watch it. Corey, absolutely love it. That's great to see. You've got good taste. So yeah, no, highly recommend Reservoir Dogs. Great
And
film.
just,
And for me,
just as a note as well, sorry, like the cast alone, like considering that had such a low budget, and Tarantino, he wasn't really known at this point either. Like you said, this was kind of
no,
the film that kind of made him as a director. Really, you kind of, when you look at the cast and the people that got involved with it, he did really, really well to get some of the people on board.
but also remember that a lot of those actors were also in their early part of their career at the time as
Yeah,
well.
this
So
is very
we
true.
know them, we know them now as being big. Like Tim Roth's a great example. Tim Roth, we know now as being this stellar actor who's been in so many things. He's been in The Incredible Hulk. Obviously, we know him from Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction. He pops up in, I think, The Hateful Eight as well. He's done so many. He did a cracking TV series called Lie to Me, which got cancelled after its third season. But it was he played a psychiatrist, a psychologist, he was almost like a bit of a detective. The police brought him in when they didn't know if someone was lying to them, when they were being interrogated, and he was able to basically work out whether they were lying, and it teaches you so much. Fantastic show. Shame that it got cancelled, but anyway, point is that he's a phenomenal actor. However, I don't know too much about his early career. I'm willing to bet this was one of, if not the first thing he did. And then obviously Tarantino went and used him again, much like Harvey Keitel. And was Michael Madsen in Pulp Fiction? No, he wasn't. But John Travolta played his brother. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, John Travolta's character in Pulp Fiction is the brother of Mr. Blonde from Reservoir Dogs.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yes. So Mr. Blonde is one of the Vegas brothers. So and Tarantino was actually planning on making a film about the two of them, but obviously time got away. Travolta's career was massive, and because obviously, spoilers, Travolta and Mr. Blonde die in both Reservoir and Pulp Fiction. Once they started to get too old, it was too difficult to pull off. Like if you hadn't killed them both off, then yeah, great, but it was never happened. So anyway, okay, let's move on. Have you ever seen the film Being John Malkovich?
No, but I have heard an awful lot about it.
Yeah. John Malkovich, funnily enough, I actually watched a film with him in last night, but John Malkovich is probably my least favorite actor of all time. I don't say that about many people.
This is the thing that I've kind of always been put off watching. I'm not a huge fan of John Malkovich. I know that he has done so many films. He's had an incredible career, and so many people like him. A lot of people think he's a brilliant actor, but I'm not a fan of his, to be perfectly honest. I absolutely love him in Con Air. I absolutely love him in Con Air. It's one of my favorite films. But I say I've not seen a lot of his stuff. I'm not a big fan of him as an actor.
No, I have to agree with you there. The only film I've seen him in where I actually enjoy watching him is Red. I thought he was very good in that. If you've seen it.
Yes, I have. I'll kind of go along with that.
He played into. I think he played into the things that I don't like about him, and that's probably why I didn't mind it so much. But yeah, the film I watched yesterday, I don't know if you've ever seen it, The Man in the Iron Mask. Yes, actually. He plays Athos in it.
Yes, he does. He does. That's actually a very good film. Again, that was a film that Sarah introduced me to, I think maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, no, that is a very good film, actually.
It's my favourite film about the Three Musketeers. And it's obviously, I know it's about them in their later lives, but having D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers in their later days and all of that, it's just enjoyable. But I don't like Malkovich in it, truth be told, but I forgive it because the rest, like Jeremy Irons is in it and Leonardo DiCaprio, you know, great film.
It's such a, and like you said as well, I think I enjoyed it the most because it's a completely different spin on the idea of the Musketeers.
100%.
It's kind of as much as I love DC and I absolutely adore Batman, it's kind of, they did a bit of a Ben Affleck with it back in the day. They didn't try to reboot it from the beginning. They said,
absolutely.
no, let's take the idea. Everybody knows the story. Let's do 20 years in the future. Let's see what they're doing as older men.
That's the thing. And Alexander Dumas actually wrote a sequel called 20 Years After. And as part of that, there was a smaller story involved called The Man in the Iron Mask. The film didn't quite go the same way, but it was nice that Hollywood decided to do something on one of the smaller stories instead of just like you say, rehashing the Three Musketeers for a millionth time. So, right,
am I right in thinking it was one of DiCaprio's earlier pieces, wasn't it?
He did it. If I'm right, I think he did it just after Titanic.
Yeah, so I know he was incredibly young when he did it, so I know that it was an earlier piece for him. Yeah.
And you know what? I never was a massive fan of DiCaprio when he was younger, but when I talk about his younger films, I always forget about that one. And he was actually, considering he had to play 2 roles in it, I think he did a great job. So,
no, he did very, very well in it. Yeah, no, very well in
it. Okay, so I'm just looking at the comments. Rachel, this is fantastic, guys. Bloody well done. Thank you, Rachel. I'm just seeing. I'm just reading through. Oh, Corey says he's only seen John Malkovich in Johnny English and Aragon. He was the bad guy. I think he put on a really crappy French accent in Johnny English.
Yes, he did. That was a god. Oh my god, Johnny English was such a good film, but my god, John Malkovich playing a Frenchman was it was atrocious.
Yeah,
it was so bad.
Oh, and he also adds on that he has seen The Man in the Iron Mask and Of Mice and Men. That film griped me. It really did. Did you ever watch it in school at all?
No, I did. No, I don't know. I don't think we ever did, to be fair.
But, yeah, John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men was something that I think has been force-fed to to at least 80% of English literature students in the UK, and as part of it they made a film with Gary Sinise, who was Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump, and John Malkovich. And John Malkovich just I mean, don't get me wrong, he plays a character in it who's mentally limited. There we go, I'll say that. And I just kind of remember watching it, and even as a youngster, I was 15 when I watched it for the first time, thinking, God, I hate you. So not because of the type of character he played. God, no. Just because I just remember looking at him thinking, you make my blood boil. And I'd already seen him in previous films. I think I'd already seen The Man in the Iron Mask, and I'd already seen a few other bits that he'd been in. I think I'd already seen Con Air. And I just remember thinking, my God, you just pissed me off. So the fact that they then went and made a film called Being John Malkovich, I've never seen it. To go full circle with this whole story.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
Well, there you go. I felt like before I got to the point where I said I hadn't seen it, I had to give you a good story as to why.
Hasn't John Malkovich made a film that's been locked in a vault for until a stupidly late time in the future?
Yes, he did, and he worked on it for a very, very long time, and it's been put in a vault, and it's been told that it can't be opened until however many 100 years in the future.
I mean, I'm with you. Just the guy, just does nothing for me.
I absolutely agree with you. Ithil also being forced to watch it in school. Yep, I feel your pain. I really do. So, okay, let's move on to another one. Okay. Now, here's one that I watched recently that I'm really hoping you've seen. In fact, I feel like you may have once told me that you loved this film, and I apologize if I'm wrong.
This will be interesting if it's a cult classic I've seen and you hadn't at the time.
Well, exactly. Scarface.
Oh man. Oh, how can anyone not like it? I mean, come on.
For the record, I loved it. But I literally only watched it
How can anyone not like Scarface? Yeah. It is just, oh my God. And even if you've never seen it, everybody knows the line. Everybody knows the line. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's I watched it because you know, one of the things about the dreaded L word, lockdown, is that I have been able to, you know, watch a lot more films, especially later on at night, you know, if I can't sleep, you know, whatever, which I think a lot of people have been going through recently. You know, and you put Sky on, you see what's on. Scarface was on, and I thought, well, there's nothing else on, I'll give it a go. Literally, it started 3 minutes before. I thought, I'll watch 10 minutes, my usual rule. I'll see how I get on with it. My God, it was a fantastic film.
Yeah.
Al Pacino just, I mean, the man continues to blow me away with everything he does. I watched I don't know if you've ever seen The Devil's Advocate.
Yes.
With Keanu Reeves. I watched that recently as well. I think that has to be my favorite Al Pacino role ever.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God. I thought the way he played the devil was exactly how if the devil was on Earth and he was walking around among us, I would expect him to
Al Pacino. Yeah.
Al Pacino, the way he played it in that film. And you know what? No, that's cracking casting. I'm sure he wouldn't be offended by that. But yeah, no, Scarface, amazing film. Ultimately, it's a rise and fall story, isn't it? You know, it's a revenge film in so many senses of the term.
Yeah.
What is it about Scarface that you love the most?
For me, it's just Al Pacino from start to finish in it. I just absolutely love the character, like just the way he played the character in it. I think I would argue it's, and most people I think would probably say it's arguably Al Pacino's greatest kind of achievement in terms of film. He's done a lot of films, and there's a lot of his stuff that I have thoroughly enjoyed. But I just think Scarface, it just has that edge on anything he's ever done. I just think he's absolutely brilliant in it. And the film itself, I just think was a very cleverly written and made film. It's just absolutely brilliant. And there's not very many films that I mean, you know, I did A-level media studies, so I've kind of got that mind a bit like you to pick apart films and pick faults and pick out errors in them. And I think Scarface is one of the very few films where I struggle to pick out anything I disliked about it.
Nice, mighty strong words, but fair play. A film that I feel like it could be applied to. Flying Fish. Am I being thick? What is the line? Danny, give us the line.
Oh, come on. I mean, come on. Great. Say hello to my little friend. Come on. How can no one know that?
Great, as he holds the Tommy gun or machine gun and just shoots the shit out of everything.
Absolutely annihilates everybody through the doors. I mean, yes, that one.
There we go. I think people know it now.
Yeah, if you didn't understand my really bad acting and impersonation of it, just YouTube it. You'll understand.
No, I think I'll give you your credit there. That was a pretty good impression.
Well, thank you very much.
Right. Okay, let's move on. Have you seen the film Donnie Darko?
No, I haven't.
Well, neither have I, so we'll move on. Okay, we've got two here that are back to back. There are two more Tarantinos. I'll tell you what, we'll come back to it because we've already done Tarantino.
Okay, yeah.
Now, there is one person in this. Flying Fish. I love Donnie Darko. Well, you'll have to give us a few reasons as to why to watch it. Because, I mean, up until recently, I was not a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. So it would take a lot to persuade me to want to go back and watch him in his earlier days.
I kind of get that. I've never been a huge fan of his either.
Yeah. Have you seen him in Spider-Man: Far From Home?
Really liked him.
Oh my God, great in that, wasn't
he? You can just tell the chemistry that him and Tom Holland had was natural. It was them two together was phenomenal. That was a very good bit of casting.
Yeah, he was a bit like Leonardo DiCaprio. I feel like he's kind of like got better. He's a bit like fine wine, you know, aged well.
Yeah, it's almost like he's matured into his films a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his roles a bit more. Yeah.
And also Corey has just thrown in Nightcrawler. I've not seen Nightcrawler, but I have heard good things. So I will add that to my list. Okay, so we'll come back to the two Tarantino films.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, next one. I know there's someone in this in here who will have a lot to say about this one. Number 33 on this list is The Nightmare Before Christmas. The film that is directed by Tim Burton, that's not directed by Tim Burton, as everyone always thinks it is. You're going to tell me you've not seen it?
No, I'm going to tell you I have seen it.
And you're going to tell me that you don't like it?
I'm afraid so.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm with you.
That's a relief.
I watched it for the first time.
I thought we were actually going to have a fallout live on air then.
No, not at all. Not at all. Here we go. And the comments are coming in. How dare you? Yeah, it's do you know what? I watched it at Halloween and I just couldn't get into it. I just couldn't get into it. It was, admittedly, I watched it straight after Rocky Horror Picture Show. Or was it before? No, that's a lie. That's a lie. I watched that first and then watched Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that kind of just made the whole night better.
You watched Rocky Horror Picture Show to make up for the fact you just watched.
Exactly. The music's good, and you know what? Yeah, you know what? Oh no, wrong one. Flying Fish. The music is fab. I have to admit, I do love my Disney songs, and the music. Whenever the music comes on, I'll never skip the songs from.
Yeah, I will go along with that. And yourself and Flying Fish. The music is brilliant music, and it's typical Disney. To be fair, the music typifies it. But
100%. But yes, Ithil, you are right. Produced by Tim Burton, directed by Henry Selick. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know why. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Just really wasn't.
No, I do have to agree with you. It's just not. I've never quite understood either. I kind of do, but I don't quite understand why people go so mad for it being an actual Christmas film.
Yeah.
I know it's in the title, but I don't understand why people only we've got to watch it at Christmas. But
now that I've seen it, I can honestly say, although Christmas is an element in it, I personally wouldn't consider it a Christmas film because it's clearly all about Halloween, and it goes out of its way to freak you out, not bring you warm Christmas cheer. Well, not in my opinion anyway. But then again, I didn't even like the film, so my opinion.
I don't know if it's ever been confirmed, but I know there's at least been a theory that Nightmare Before Christmas and I want to say. There's two other films that are very similar, and they're Tim Burton's. They're supposed to be.
Is it Caroline, whatever it's called? Is that one of them?
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of them. Oh, Corpse Bride. Is that one of them?
Corpse Bride. Yes,
and of course. They're all supposed to be linked, aren't they? They're all supposed to kind of follow on from each other in a sense, but. Yeah,
Ithil's just put me in my place. It isn't Tim Burton, fine, but yes. But it is Henry Selick. There you go. There's the confusion. So the person that directed Nightmare Before Christmas did direct Coraline, but Tim Burton did do.
Corpse Bride. Yeah,
there we go. We're getting this. This is why having people commenting throughout. Okay, that's an interesting Frankenweenie.
That was it. That's the other one I was thinking of. That was it. That was the other one I was thinking of. Yeah, and I know that there's a kind of theory that Corpse Bride and Nightmare are all kind of intertwined with each other somehow. I don't quite understand how, because I've seen Corpse Bride. I've never seen Frankenweenie, but even Corpse Bride isn't a big hit with me, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of any of that kind of animation, truth be told. It just kind of always creeps me out a little bit. So, but I'm sure they're good films. Don't shoot me. Let's move on before we lose listeners and viewers. Okay, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I mean, the whole Monty Python series.
My God, Monty Python! I love the old type of comedy anyway. Any kind of comedy from that era is fantastic. But Monty Python, they tested so many boundaries.
Yeah, and they did.
I mean, the Holy Grail. I mean, I mean that and Life of Brian. I mean, how many people did they tick off?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably why I like Monty Python so much.
I think it was very daring humor for its time,
Mm.
especially. And there are elements of Monty Python that I do genuinely find funny. But what's interesting is that I actually find, in particular, John Cleese and Eric Idle funnier outside of Monty Python. I felt like Monty Python was unique and it was funny, but for me, I actually enjoyed, like, John Cleese in 40 Towers is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Eric Idle did a play. I think it's called There's Something About Dick. It's on Netflix. It's got like all of his regulars in it. It's got Tim Curry, Eddie Izzard pops up in it. I can't remember the other famous. Oh my God, I cried.
Really?
And it made me laugh so much. It was just, it was hilarious. And I remember thinking at the time, like, this is Eric Idle that's created this, yet there's nothing he did in Monty Python that made me laugh quite like this. So I think, don't get me wrong, not knocking Monty Python, absolutely love it. Very funny content. But I also am of the opinion that I feel like the actors within did, for me, funnier content. I'm being careful with what I say here. Did funnier content outside of Monty Python, but nonetheless,
that's fair. Like you said, John Cleese in Fawlty Towers is, again, it's classic comedy. It's the comedy that I kind of grew up with, like watching, when I spent time with my grandparents and that. So I have a real affinity for that type of comedy, and not giving away what I do as a job, because it's it's not everybody's cup of tea. But I love the irony in The Life of Brian. Always look on the bright side of life, and believe it or not, it's actually a very popular song choice.
Is it? I can imagine why, actually.
And it really just adds an element of kind of fun, should I say, to what I do.
Just going through. Really quickly, just going back a few steps. Ithil said, "Frankenweenie is the main character. When the main character is a kid, Corpse Bride is when he's an adult, and the Nightmare Before Christmas is when he's dead." And then she shoots us because obviously. Tis but a scratch. So many themes from that film alone. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries. She turned me into a newt. I got better. He's not the Messiah. He's a very
naughty boy.
There you go. It's worth it for the quotes alone. Okay. Let's move on to something a bit different. I'm just having a look down the list, seeing what we've got. Here's one. Flash Gordon. Have you ever seen?
Yes, I have seen it, and I'm proud to say I've seen this film.
Good, I am too.
I'm gonna be honest. It's one of those films that I do really quite enjoy, but it falls into that category for me that I'm not sure I should enjoy it.
I get that.
Because when you realistically think about it, it isn't a fantastic film. It's actually quite a poor film. But I think but it kind of, it's the element of it being a poor film that I love about it.
Well, following off what Meeple Bops has just said here, I loved Brian Blessed. Let's be honest, that's the key thing about the film. Yes, I was in Manchester for a Comic-Con last December, and he was there. And I met him and Sam J. Jones. I got a photo with the pair of them.
Wow.
Wonderful to meet them and have a chat with them and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, before all of this, he was on the main stage being interviewed, and there was loads of people watching, blah, blah, and they said to him, "Can you say the line?" And they just held the microphone to him, and this massive stadium was just filled with, as Corey has just said, "Gordon's alive!" And it was amazing to hear it in person from the man himself, echoing from wall to wall around this stadium. For me, has to be one of the greatest in-person experiences I've had in my life so far.
I can imagine that. Yeah,
it's just incredible. He made the film, and I think the film made him. So
I think they did kind of make each other, didn't they? Kind of. I think Brian Blessed before then, and even since, to be fair, is probably perhaps more known for his kind of like theatre work, I think.
But that's
definitely bigger. He's one of those voices, very much a little bit off topic, but like David Attenborough, you hear the voice, you know instantly who it is.
Morgan
You know, no matter
Freeman,
what they do. Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely with you there. Okay. I am just having a scroll through, seeing what else we've got. I want to. Oh my god, going back onto Tim Burton, but it's a worthwhile going back onto Tim Burton.
Okay.
Mars Attacks.
The what? Sorry.
Mars Attacks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you seen?
I've seen. Yeah.
I love.
I can somewhat get behind people that do like it. It's not my cup of tea, but I can get behind it.
See, Tim Burton's a good director. He's not my all-time favorite director. In fact, he'd probably sit exactly on 50-50 on the list because he's done just as many films I don't like as what he has done. But this is at the top of the list for me. I feel like this film tapped into my kind of humor. It was silly, but it was quite clever at the same time. But the thing that really impressed me the most was the incredible cast it had. Michael J. Fox, Jack Nicholson, Pierce Brosnan, Sarah Jessica Parker. All right, not so incredible, but still, you know, a very young Natalie Portman. You know, Danny DeVito. Just got such. Even Tom Jones was in it, for crying out loud, and he was quite, you know, and as people are, here we go. Fantastic film. Yes. Funny film. Yes. Amazing film. So yeah. I think it's fair to say Mars Attacks, if you're not a massive Tim Burton fan, hopefully Mars Attacks would be one that you would be willing to say, yeah, it's all right, you know. So
I will say again, I'm not a big fan of Tim Burton stuff. But I would, as much as I don't like the film all that much, I would definitely say it's definitely one of Burton's better films that he's made. I'd be willing to say that. Just on Tim Burton very quickly, my favorite film that he's ever been involved with was his take on Sweeney Todd with Johnny Depp.
Interesting.
And I've got to be honest. I say that is my favorite take on Sweeney Todd ever. I think it was an absolutely fantastic film.
Interesting. I wasn't such a fan of it.
Okay.
I didn't dislike it. It's a 50-50 film for me. It's honestly, it's 50-50. I didn't dislike it. I adore Helena Bonham Carter, so it was worth watching for her. Johnny Depp, I love too. So again, worth watching for him. It had all the things that I should like in it.
And not forgetting Alan Rickman. If we don't mention Alan Rickman, we will both get crucified.
I know. Alan Rickman was wonderful in it, like he was in everything he was in. And you know what? I might actually do an entire podcast at some point just on Alan Rickman, because there is so I could honestly fill an hour talking about Alan Rickman. And you know what? I think I might. Yeah. I think I'll do an episode this season talking about Alan Rickman.
Please do. I think most people that are into films could probably easily fill an hour just on Alan Rickman.
Yeah. Corey has just made a massive. Oh, there we go. Do it. There we go. Okay, the Alan Rickman podcast is happening. More than fair. It has now, unfortunately, been 5 years since, bless him, he passed. It was this week. 5 years yesterday.
Has it
5 years.
Been 5 years. Actually, do you know what? Me and you, actually, going off topic, me and you were actually having lunch when we got the news. We've gone out for lunch from work, and I remember getting the news. It became a very solemn lunch very quickly.
It was. Corey has made a cracking point though that I forgot, and I'm going to agree with him here. Tim Burton's best film, which also has Alan Rickman in it, is Alice in Wonderland for me.
Oh,
great film.
I was never a fan of the story. I was never a fan of the film, but not the animated film. But I do have to say, actually, I am solely with Corey on that. The first Alice in Wonderland was absolutely fantastic.
It was incredible. Not such a good sequel, but
visually was incredible. The story was fantastic, and I mean, Johnny Depp's Mad Hatter was just absolute. 100%. Yeah, good shout, Corey.
Yeah, very good shout. Very good shout. Okay, let's talk about Train Spotting.
Okay.
I watched this for the first time about 2 years ago, and I had a lot of people hype it up. You know, I liked it, but I found quite a disturbing film, if I'm honest. Have you seen it?
Actually, to be fair, I think me and you maybe watched this around about the same time. Because I hadn't seen it, and I know a lot of people had bigged it up. But I kind of watched it. I mean, I love Ewan McGregor. I love Robert Carlyle. Anyway, I think they're both phenomenal actors. So I mean, for them two alone, it was worth watching. But yeah, no, I did enjoy it, but it was it's not the sort of film that you can watch lightheartedly. You have to be in the mood to kind of sit and get through it without stopping. But no, I think it was a good film. I think it deserves to be on any list for a cult classic, certainly.
For sure. No, I am with you there.
Can I just slide in, purely for Sarah's sake, because we argue about this. Now, I'm not a fan of this film, but it is a cult classic, and that's The Goonies.
Well, funnily enough, guess what was straight after Trainspotting?
Goonies. There we go. It was meant to be.
Number 82 is Trainspotting, and number 83 is The Goonies.
There we go.
And the next film I was about to come on to, so well done. Go on then.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like I don't know. There's just something about it. I could just never get behind it. It's a good film. It's a funny film. For the it was a typical film for the era that it came out. Hey, you guys, obviously, it's one of those lines that everybody knows. The memes that come from it, truffle shuffle, gonna set some booty traps. It's a good film, and I know people love it, but I'm sorry to upset people, and I'm sorry that it could cause divorce. It's that bad. But it has to go on my list of one of my least favorite films.
I have to say, I think it's incredibly overrated.
Yes, I think that is my biggest problem with it, is that I don't quite get all the hype with it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I am actually with you there 100%.
But I did promise Sarah that we were doing cult classics, and I would mention it for her. So,
and also a very young Thanos, Josh Brolin, was in it.
Yes, he played the Big Brother, didn't he?
Okay. Have you ever seen Big Trouble in Little China?
No.
No, neither have I. That's fine. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh God, yes, yeah, I've seen this. Yes. Oh, love the film. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, fantastic film.
Matthew Broderick being Matthew Broderick.
It was kind of, we were talking about being John Malkovich earlier. That should have been titled Being Matthew Broderick.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Okay, here's an interesting one. Apocalypse Now.
I think I have seen this.
Marlon Brando, Martin Sheen, the war film, the Vietnam.
I have seen this. Yes, I have seen it. Many years ago, I was probably pre-teenager when I saw it. I'll be honest. I can't remember an awful lot about it. I know it is a very intense film, which is probably why I don't remember much of it, being pre-teens. But I know that it has. Again, it does have quite a big following, quite a lot of fans that do love it as a film. So
yeah, and also the famous quote, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." Okay, right, we'll do a few more, and then we'll. Oh my God, you are not going to guess what has just come up on the list. Go on, take a guess. Take a guess what's just come up on this list.
Go on, surprise me.
The Shawshank Bloody Redemption.
Yes! Now this is one of those times where me and you definitely disagree.
Well, do you know what? I think we'll make this the last film on the list, because obviously we have one more area that I promised you we'll discuss.
Yes, and we have the double Tarantino you want to touch on quickly.
Oh yes, we will. We'll do that as well. But here we go. See, Ithil knows already from previous podcasts.
I'm just gonna get it out there. Honestly, this is not everyone's favorite film at all. It's not even a well-known film. It's not.
I don't know about that. I think it's pretty well known. I think it's the most overrated film of all time. And I think if it was a person, I'd slap it.
Well, I for one, I mean, well, you know, it is my all-time favorite film. I just, I don't, I've never known what it is. I just remember seeing it for the first time again as a pre-teenager, and it's every time I watch it, it just grows on me more and more. I mean, to be fair, to the point you very generously gave me a stillbirth version as a wedding present of the film. So but now I'm starting to think that was just your ploy to get rid of it because you didn't actually like it.
I mean, no, come on. I bought that in good faith, all right? So
yeah, no, I know. But I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I really know that. But no one will ever convince me that it is not a great film.
No, that's fair. Right, I've just scrolled down this list, and I won't lie, there's a few films on here that I would be very upset if I didn't mention. So okay. I'm going to just do a few more, if that's all right. Yep. We might run slightly over an hour, but not by much, only by 5-10 minutes. Okay, so we have got next. I've lost the list. I apologize. Here we go. So we've done that. We've done Shawshank Redemption. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Yeah.
Well, it's an honourable mention, yeah.
Have you seen Inglourious Bastards?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I think that might be Tarantino's second greatest film. That for me is above Pulp Fiction.
See, this is another area we may disagree on because I'm not a big fan of it. If I'm honest, I'm not a big fan. I want to say, is it Christopher Waltz? I want to say
Christopher Waltz. Yep.
Yeah, I think he is fantastic in it. I think he is, for me, is the saving grace of the film.
I don't disagree with that. But, All right. Okay, we'll move on from that one. I love it. Right. Goodfellas.
I've never seen it. If I've got to be brutally honest, I've never seen that.
Okay. Good film, worth a watch. Bit long, but good film. But for me, my issue is, and I've mentioned this in previous podcast. There we go. Come on, Ross. In previous podcasts, I have said that I feel like Robert De Niro. There was a period of time, about 20 years, where every Robert De Niro film was the same Robert De Niro film, and that's nothing against him as an actor. I just felt he played this. Whereas Al Pacino, Scarface, Godfather, the one that I mentioned. Oh God's sake, the one with him and Keanu. No, not Apocalypse Now. The one with him and Keanu Reeves that I mentioned only 15 minutes ago, and it's popped out of my head.
Oh, yeah.
How was it called? Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, The Devil's Advocate. There we go. I knew there was an A in there somewhere. Devil's Advocate. Thank you. Yeah, we
are professionals, promise.
Yeah, somewhere along the lines. Al Pacino, I felt like he stood out in every film that he did. Whereas Robert De Niro, I felt like it was just a bit samey. So Goodfellas doesn't really stand out to me for that reason.
Okay, just on the subject of Robert De Niro, actually, there was a film. My dad isn't a big filmy. But one of his favourite films is a very, very young Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken film, and that's Deer Hunter.
Deer Hunter with Meryl Streep as well. Great film.
And I will say, anybody that hasn't watched it but is willing to give it the time of day, please watch it because it is it's very intense, but it is an incredible film. It really is.
I have to agree with you.
For me, I do think it is one of Robert De Niro's best ever pieces.
And I'm willing to bet it's on this list somewhere as well, if I'm honest. Because it's
a list of 400. I would imagine it probably. I'd hope it's on there. To be fair, yeah.
Oh look, Danny, a blast from the past. Here we go. Vicky Matthews, Bauer flashback.
Bauer reunion.
Like the old days. Hello, Vicky. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, Corey, saying about Al Pacino, Heat and Ocean's 13. I have to say, Heat is a great film.
Yeah, Heat is a great film, and I will give a shout out to all of the Oceans 11, 12, and 13. I think not all of them, 11, 12, and 13.
It's not, eight's not a terrible film, but it's certainly not on par with. I mean, especially. Sorry,
I've not seen Ocean's 8, to be fair.
You're not missing out, but it's worth a watch, I guess.
Okay,
Ocean's
11, 12, and 13. They are some of my favourite films, actually. I really do like them.
And I'm with you there. 11 and 13 in particular. I think 13. I mean, Al Pacino was definitely one of the highlights of 13.
Yeah.
The fact that they got him involved, it was just, brilliant. Okay, let's just do a few more really quickly. Oh my God! Speaking of Alan Rickman, have you ever seen Galaxy Quest?
No.
Oh my God! Probably one of his best films.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Other than maybe Robin Hood, it was one of his best films.
I was just about to say, special mention is Robin Hood with Kevin Costner. That is,
my goodness, he was incredible in that film.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, Galaxy Quest is fantastic. Definitely worth giving a go. Right, we're going to make this the last one of the things. The other two Tarantino films were Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill.
Okay.
So we've already kind of really tucked into Pulp Fiction. I like it. I think it's a bit overrated, but I do think it's a great film. Kill Bill, I'm with the same attitude, actually. I think it's great, just a bit overrated.
No, I would agree. I think Pulp Fiction, very good film. For the time it was made, very, very good film. But no, I think that and Kill Bill, I think especially Volume 2, I actually think let it down a bit. I think Kill Bill Volume 1 was a good film, but I think Volume 2 is where it becomes overrated, to be honest.
Okay, that's cool. No, that's cool. Right, last one then. American Psycho.
I mean, can I say I think it's one of Christian Bale's best performances?
I think it's one of the best films I've ever seen. I
think, and considering he wasn't the first choice for the role either, I don't believe.
I don't know. Do you know who was?
I can't. No, I actually read. I was reading about it the other day. He wasn't the first choice. If anybody's watching and can help us out, but I know he wasn't the first choice for the role, and he actually had to fight for the role and essentially prove himself. And thankfully, he did, because it is one of his greatest performances. And like you said, it's probably one of the best films that's ever been made.
It's just wacky and crazy. And do you know what? The thing I like about it? I've watched a lot of films, as you know, as a lot of people know. That's why I made a podcast about it. But no, I think you know what? I've watched a lot of films, and yet this is maybe. Thank you, Flying Fish. There's the answer to your question.
Yes. I knew obviously back then he wasn't a big name, but I knew it was a big name actor that was originally thought of for the role. Yeah.
It's it's one of those films that I still don't have an answer to as to what exactly happens. And I mean that in obviously the way the story goes. And I've had people, one of my friends, Emma, recently messaged me and said, right, I finally watched American Psycho. Can you please explain to me? And I'm like, I'll talk to you about it when I can talk to you about it in person next, which still hasn't happened. But I'm still trying to decide what the answer to that kind of question is.
Kind of, I think in that respect, it's kind of a bit like the ending to Inception. No matter how many times you try to process it, you're just sat there going,
exactly.
What the F? Like, seriously.
So Vicky has sent in a question, which I'm glad, because this is the first question we've kind of had. So I'm really happy that we've got it. So I'm going to put it up now. What is your favorite Robin Williams film, to both of you? This is an easy one for me. Absolute easy one for me.
Yeah, easy one. Oh my God. For me, it's a joint effort. Now I think I'm 100% in saying Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes, of course.
Yes. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that has ever seen that film and not liked it. I think it.
I know a few. I know. I know a few. I
Really?
know a few people. I spoke to someone
Oh,
recently. I don't remember who. Otherwise, I'd name and shame them.
I'd
And
say yes. I mean, if they're on your friends list on Facebook, remove them.
yeah, I don't.
But for me as well, another film, again, my dad, not a big filmy, but another film that my dad recommended to me a few years ago was Good Morning Vietnam.
Okay.
And oh my God, I just Robin Williams in it is just absolutely phenomenal, absolutely fantastic.
I have never seen it, to my shame.
Okay,
I
okay,
will.
no,
I actually own it. I own it.
I will let you off. I will let you off, but no, please, if you, I mean, you love Robin Williams, please watch it. It is incredible. And special mention him as the genie in Aladdin.
Oh yeah, wow. I was going to throw in a special mention to him in Good Will Hunting. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about him. That monologue he gives when he's talking about his wife. And you know, like you know all about Michelangelo and his work. Have you ever smelt the Sistine Chapel?
Yeah. I think one of the greatest things about that man was his it was just his ability to improvise on the spot. Oh, Jumanji's got to get that's got to have a mention.
Bicentennial Man 2, cracking film. I very much, if you've not seen Bicentennial Man, highly recommend it.
I would also recommend to anyone that hasn't seen it is Patch Adams.
I have not seen that in years, but a good fun film.
Patch Adams is a very light-hearted film, and it is brilliant.
Have you ever seen the film Jack?
Yes.
Where he plays the kid that grows up quicker than what he.
Yes.
Film. 1 Hour Photo, also a good film. Very dark, very dark. He showed his range of acting in that film. So Vicky, to go back to your question, what was your favorite Robin Williams? I think we've unanimously agreed on Mrs. Doubtfire. Whilst considering so many others. Vicky,
absolutely.
Let us know what your favorite Robin Williams film is. We want to know the answer to that. So before we go, I've got two things to say. We've still got. We'll give it. So, Danny, you had when we spoke about what you were going to discuss, there was another topic that you wanted to breach. And we're going to breach that subject in a second. What I will also like to throw out there is to our audience who have been watching and listening throughout this so far. Any other questions you have for us that we can quickly answer that you'd like to know the answers to, then please throw us your questions. Vicky has also just quickly said, what are your thoughts on Adam Sandler? What is the best character he has played? For me, it was, and also her favourite is Mrs. Doubtfire. So there we go. High fives all round.
There we go.
The answer to that question, I'm not a massive fan of Adam Sandler, but Little Nicky, where he plays Harvey Keitel's son, is just... He plays the son of the devil. Genius film, hilarious, the greatest film Adam Sandler's ever done.
I must admit, I'm same as you. I'm not a huge fan of his, but one of my favourite films he's ever done, and it will bug me because I can't think of the name of it. But he did the first film he did with Jennifer Aniston. It was a bit of a rom-com, and
Just Go With It. What was it called?
Oh no, was it Just Go With It?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. But again, it was a film that's kind of. I'm not usually into the rom-com sort of stuff. But again, it was a film I watched with Sarah, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think he might have done Wedding Singer as well. No, that was Drew Barrymore, wasn't it? That was Drew Barrymore. But he did do Murder Mystery with Jennifer Aniston. That's on Netflix. That's a very good film. I did enjoy that.
Oh, okay.
Highly recommend. Really quickly, Corey has asked us what our favourite Western film is. Good question. Mine would have to be. Mine would have to be the 3:10 to Yuma, the remake with Russell Crowe and Christian Bale.
That is a very good shout, actually. I'll be honest, I've not actually watched a great deal of Western films. I'm gonna have to go the same one as you, Ross. On the basis I've not watched a lot of westerns, I will probably have to go with that one. To be fair,
it's a good film. I'm a big fan of classic westerns as well. The original Magnificent Seven. The remake isn't bad, but the original is better. Anything with there's a cracking western that Sam Raimi directed in '95 called The Quick and the Dead. It has Russell Crowe, Gene Hackman, Leo DiCaprio. Sharon Stone, very young Leo DiCaprio. I think it might have been his second film role. He plays like a Billy the Kid type character. The whole film's like a Russian roulette, like, you know, Pistols at Dawn kind of film. I'm a big fan of Seth MacFarlane's A Million Ways to Die in the West as well. Oh, there we go. And Vicky's just said it as well. Yeah, A Million Ways to Die in the West. And also The Wild Wild West with Will Smith. I have a guilty pleasure for that film. However, Corey has just reminded me of a film that I should have mentioned because I didn't, and I'm disgusted that I didn't say it. Tombstone. Tombstone probably is on par with 3:10 to Yuma, if not slightly better. Tombstone, Wyatt Earp, and all that lot. Val Kilmer, Kurt Russell, Bill Paxton. Great film. Very long, but very accurate of its time. Just well made. Just a well-made film. And really quickly, Flying Fish has asked, favourite film of all time? Well, mine's Mrs. Doubtfire, and I think you've already answered yours, Danny. What is it? I
have indeed. Shawshank Redemption.
You hear that, everyone? The Shawshank Redemption is Danny's favourite film.
Yes, okay, I get it. People are going to hate on me for it. I don't.
No. People aren't going to hate on you for it. Just me. Yeah. So forget I asked. Oh, there we go. Forget I asked. There we go. Okay. So. Last quick subject that you wanted to tackle was, and I know that there are a few. No, just no.
Yes,
no,
Vicky.
No. Last subject you wanted to tackle was Disney. What have they done with Star Wars, and whether people like their films?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I think I was the same as everybody else that kind of loved Star Wars. When it was announced Disney had kind of taken it on, I think everybody went, oh, dear God, they're just going to milk it for all it's worth and they're going to ruin it. I have to be honest, on the whole, I actually think I don't want to say made it better, but I think they've certainly added to it. Okay. I think the two that I wouldn't include in that would be Last Jedi and Solo for me personally.
Okay.
I wasn't a big fan of Solo, mainly because I didn't like the actor that played a young Han Solo.
Yeah. I get that.
But I think Rogue One was phenomenal. Force Awakens was incredible. Yeah. And I have to say, Mando, I didn't jump on the bandwagon and watch it instantly. I watched season 1. Liked it, but wasn't blown away. But season 2 is easily up there with one of my favorite TV shows ever. Yeah, and I have to say, they were originally made for kids. I'm aware of that. However, Clone Wars animated series and Rebels are even Rebels. Not everybody's favorite, but I give it the time of day. If you're a Star Wars fan, I would say give it the time of day because the arc that they have with Darth Maul is fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you there on most of everything you said actually. There we go. Yeah, like Rebels, and also haven't seen Solo, can't comment, but special shout out to Mando. So look, Clone Wars was done when Lucasfilm was still in charge, and they absolutely were right. I think it was the last thing they did properly before Disney took over. They absolutely, you're right. The Darth Maul story was spot on. Rebels, I didn't like. Took me a long time to get involved with Rebels. Glad I did. Just took me a long time. Yeah. Force Awakens is my third favorite Star Wars film. I have my top 3 Star Wars films are actually from each of the 3 trilogies. So my top is Empire.
Now, I know. Just very quickly, I've got a funny feeling that your 3 are the same as my 3 as well.
Well, my 3 are Empire, Revenge, and Force Awakens.
And that's my 3 as well. In exactly the same order.
Oh, there you go. Well, high five. Well done. Thank you very much. But yeah, so I you know, that Star Wars for me, Force Awakens nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Last Jedi ruined it. You couldn't have gone from one big extreme to the other than you did with Force Awakens and Last Jedi. However, the nice bridge in between was Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was a fantastic film.
Yes, it was.
It grew.
Rogue One for me, I didn't realize I needed the gap to be bridged between Revenge and New Hope until I watched Rogue One. And after I'd watched it, I just sat there and went, I'm so glad they made it.
Oh no, I agree with you. I agree with you there. Solo, I don't think is a bad film. I just don't know why they made it. However, they do give us our taste of live action brought back Darth Maul, which is what I will always be grateful to the film for.
Yes,
because we have obviously that cameo from Ray Park and Darth Maul at the end, and that for them was for me was that made the film worth it. That and Emilia Clarke, of course. But as Flying Fish says, money, money, money. Yeah, the irony is it made them none. It made them no money whatsoever. They So their original plan was to release a Star Wars film every December. And then they released it, they brought it forward and they released it 5 months after The Last Jedi. What they didn't expect was The Last Jedi to bomb the way it did. People hated Last Jedi.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised.
No, not at all. But this is where Disney got it so wrong. They expected people, because the reviewers were so like, people gave film reviews gave The Last Jedi the kind of accolades, I guess, nothing like what they had given to Empire Strikes Back. Like Last Jedi is almost, I think, might be the second highest rated film by film reviews in the Star Wars
really?
Yes. However, ultimately at the same time, anyway, they thought it was a success, blah blah blah. Everyone hated it, and then they bought Solo forward by, it was about 6 months, I think. June, July time it came out, and it bombed. It didn't even make back its budget in the end.
Wow.
And you went from Force Awakens, which became one of the highest grossing films of all time, to obviously this Solo film, which wasn't terrible. It certainly wasn't as bad as Last Jedi, in my opinion.
No. I don't think it was a bad film. I just kind of for me, it was Disney. It was Disney milking it. It wasn't a needed film, I don't think.
To repeat the comments from before. So sums it up. Money, money, money. Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree. Look, Rise of Skywalker, they tried to pull it back, and Rise of Skywalker sits somewhere in the middle for me. Not a bad film, but story-wise, they were trying to put too much into one film to kind of like basically make up for the crap that Last Jedi had caused.
Yeah.
And then Mandalorian. I mean, they couldn't. I mean, Mandalorian for me, other than The Force Awakens, I would happily replace everything Disney did post Force Awakens with Mandalorian and be happy, because I just feel like The Mandalorian is being made by true Star Wars fans, and we feel that. And the fact that whoever, well, no, I say whoever, I know exactly who's in charge at Disney, allowed Last Jedi to be made should be sacked. That's simple as that. And she knows who she is. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. We've not had so many people give an opinion. Agreed. Flying Fish agrees. But yeah, so there we go. There we go. Well, Mando might have to Mando may just pretend that the sequels never happened. But
and I think on how well they've done with Mando, I now have even higher hopes about Kenobi.
Oh my god, don't! I cried when I found out Hayden Christensen was coming back. I actually cried.
Oh my god. Like I was so happy they were doing it, but I actually saw it on your Instagram feed, and I think it was the biggest geek moment I've ever had in my life.
Hayden Christensen gets a lot of crap, but I love him. And I love the fact that him and Ewan McGregor are going to go at it again with Star Wars. And yes, in recent news, Liam Neeson also wants to come back, so that would be the ultimate. That would be the ultimate.
Man,
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, but Flying Fish, they've brought back the essence of Star Wars with Mando. It was beautifully done.
They have perfectly. Yeah.
Right, to wrap up, Vicky has sent us one more question. We will answer this, and then we'll wrap things up. If you could have been in a part, of any film, what would it be? Good question.
Oh, very good
If
question.
you could have been a part of any film, what would it be? I don't know the answer to that question.
Mm.
I think I don't know. That is a tough one. That is a real tough one. I think
It's actually a really good question.
I don't know. I normally I'd go to something like Star Wars or something, but I'm not sure that's the answer to the question for me. It's not immediately appearing in my mind. I think do you know what? I think I would like to have been involved in a film that featured Robin Williams. I don't
Yeah.
think just I don't really care about the film per se. I care about the actors that were in it. So I would love to have been involved in a you know a film with Alan Rickman or Robin Williams. I don't really care, like maybe Robin Hood or Mrs. Doubtfire or Jumanji. But yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a really difficult one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, kind of like you actually. It's not really. There isn't a film that jumps out, but like you said, there's people. Wouldn't have minded working with Spielberg, a Spielberg film.
Yeah.
In order to be the first film that came to mind, and it is one of my favorite films, is Saving Private Ryan. I would have quite liked to have been involved with that actually. One of my favorite films. But I think more so because
Go on.
it's obviously like Tom Hanks. To be able to work with somebody like that would just be incredible. No matter, it would be amazing.
Mine would have to be. I've just decided Inception. Not because it was such a vast film, and everything you see they did. So imagine being involved in that, like the scene in which Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like jumping from wall to wall in the hotel corridor. Like he did that for real, and I just think, what a great film to have been involved in. So Vicky said mine would be Hunger Games. Fair play. We've got Titanic, Back to the Future, Harry Potter, of course. Potter.
I would go with Titanic just so that I can actually help get Jack on that door because there was plenty of room.
There really was.
He didn't need to die. She did it on purpose.
Great. Meeple Bop says Jurassic
Park. That's on my list of favorite films. Yeah, I would go with and Spielberg actually. So yeah.
Yeah. Just Kick Off Rose. There we go. So there we go. I think we are going to look at wrapping it up there. Danny, thank you so much. First time guest. I hope you'll come back in future. And,
absolutely. No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you for your suggestion of cult films. Now, look, we didn't get to go through. Oh, funnily enough, I've just scrolled and seen RoboCop on the cult list. So there you go. There are loads of cult films. Terminator, Nightmare on Elm Street, From Dusk Till Dawn. We could have gone on forever. Even Beetlejuice got a mention. But we would have been here forever. Look, thank you so much. Vicky, next podcast, we're on every Friday from 7:00 and we're always live. I have a new guest every week. Sometimes we also have returning guests. So Danny, I hope, as I say, you'll come back and do a different topic with me at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Corey, thank you. Ithil, thank you also. Is Tim Burton himself just a cult at this point? Yes, I think he is. The man, the myth, the legend. But yes, we will be back next Friday, 7 p.m. with a brand new guest and a brand new topic. I hope you'll join me then. Danny, thank you again for your involvement today, and thank you to Sarah for her contributions as well. I sense she's nearby.
She just popped her head in the door. I think it's Freddie's bedtime. So
well, I'll let you go and do that. Thank you so much, and thank you again. Very much enjoyed the episode. Thank you very much, James. Thank you all, and yes, we will be back next week with another episode. Until then, take care. Cheers, Danny. See you soon.
No worries. Bye-bye.